Mr. Chidambaram, thank you very much for joining us. If the government does not intervene, now by way of reducing taxes, there could be a possibility of petrol and diesel prices crossing even 130, 135. Do you think that the government must intervene, or why is the government not intervening?
Intervention by whom? The government is most greedy. It is the government that should intervene and bring down the prices. And the way to do it is quite straightforward. It is to reduce the central taxes and then persuade the states to reduce the taxes. But the central government increases the taxes practically every day or every other day because it's the greediest government I've come across. It relies on a single source of revenue to sustain its expenditure. It is collecting today 33 rupees a litre on petrol and 32 rupees a litre on diesel, which is extortion.
Okay. Mr. Chidambaram, the government's argument is that this is a crucial way of funding the welfare schemes, particularly in a COVID scenario, a sort of a bitter pill.
You have options. If you don't know what the options are, I think you should consult tax economists and other economists to know the other sources of revenue. There are other taxes which can be modulated to increase the revenue. But you surely can't squeeze a regressive tax. Please remember, taxes on petrol and diesel are regressive taxes. If a rich man buys a litre of petrol and a poor man buys a litre of petrol, they pay the same tax. It is a regressive tax. You should increase progressive taxes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chidambaram, many representatives who defend the government's position say that there are hardly any alternatives. Would you suggest some?
Of course there are alternatives. How did we run the government for 10 years? We didn't increase the taxes on petrol and diesel to such astronomical heights. How do other countries run their governments? Government must rationalize expenditure and find the revenues to meet that expenditure through progressive taxes. I'm not going to suggest to the government what taxes it can impose, because then they will say the opposition wants taxes to be imposed. I'm saying the broad philosophy is regressive taxes must be kept low and progressive taxes must be increased.
Okay, now you talk about progressive taxes. Now the government has made many appeals that there is talk of petrol and diesel being brought under the GST, a proposal from the government which was completely dumped by many state governments, including many state governments headed by the Congress party. So do you think that the challenge is not just with the centre but also with states?
No, I don't think the central government proposed inclusion of fuel in the GST to reduce taxes. I think they wanted to take control over taxes on petrol and diesel. Please remember, the way the GST Council is operating today, the opposition parties are outnumbered. Opposition party governments are completely outnumbered. Their suggestions have been given short shrift. Team of officials have usurped the powers of the GST Council. All this is set out in the Punjab Finance Minister, Mr. Manpreet Badal's letter, and in the Tamil Nadu Finance Minister's letter. Please see those letters. Having reduced the opposition party governments to a virtual cipher in the GST Council, if the central government wants to bring more items under the GST, obviously the opposition party governments will oppose it. But believe me, even the ruling party state governments opposed it, because they also privately tell us that their autonomy of taxation is completely taken away.
Okay.